Good morning, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 19th of November. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture, substack.com, and is published on YouTube after a delay of a week. All right, let's have a look at ES. Okay, ES, we've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed, and actually we've got a few of those here this morning. We've got nothing on NQ, but we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed and getting pretty close to target on RTY. We've got another 60-minute buy signal fixed on YM. We have another 60-minute buy signal fixed on DAX, and we got another one on ESTX. This is generally a pretty good indicator that we're about to see a rally, although we've seen a couple of indicators in recent days which haven't delivered. But I think there's a pretty good chance we will see a rally today, but we will see. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture. And on ES, obviously we are below the daily lower band, no current positive divergence. We'd need a rally and then a retest to set some up. What I would note is that the daily RSI 14 sell signal is now below the 40 level. So it's getting pretty close to the possible near miss target. It is less close to that, slightly less close to that on SPX. Not quite there on Qs either, but not quite there on Dia. But some more downside, and all of these will start making target. So we shall see. All right, IWM has already reached the possible near miss target, but I'll come to that later. All right, looking at the hourly charts. I've got possible head and shoulders breaking down on the SPX and Qs charts, but I'm not mainly watching those because they're the lower quality patterns. The higher quality patterns are on Dia and IWM. Now, Dia, we've got a double top here, which is broken down with a target in the 444 to 9 area, but there is possible support here at this possible head and shoulder neckline in the 454 area, and we could see a bounce there, and then if we're going down further, we see a bounce there, form a right shoulder, and then continue down. That's something I'm watching. We've got those head and shoulder necklines also on the others, nothing particularly close on the Qs. And nothing that close on, I've got a possible one here, but nothing that close on SPX either. Looking at IWM, which has been leading the downtrend, really. We've got a nice head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target on the 219.5 area. No current positive divergence on the daily RSI 5 and on the RSI 14. We've now reached the possible near miss target, which is the first of them to do that, but the other three are all getting close. On the hourly chart, I've still got this drawn as the alternates that it was, which was either a bull flag forming or it was a head and shoulders, and obviously the head and shoulders is broken down. I'm leaning towards this heading down towards that target, and I got to say, looking at Dia, this was a breakdown from this double top and then a very nice back test. We will see whether that holds today, because obviously we do have a number of decent buy signals here, but the weaker the hourly ones on the futures are weaker than the hourly ones here. We don't have any hourly RSI 14 buy signals here. We have got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed, which is roughly the equivalent of the futures ones. All right, we will see how this goes. Do we have decent expectations of going down further? Yes. Might we see a decent rally today? Yes. We will see how that goes. All right, looking at DX. DX, we've got a flag here. It's broken up, and I'm expecting to see a retest of the early November high. Could we see a low retest first, set up a double bottom to go higher? Here, that looks less credible than it looks on EURUSD, where we've got less than 50% of the way down here. But really, this is just a mirror. GBP's also got a bear flag, which is broken down. I was watching for possible resistance up here on USD JPY, and we didn't get it. Which is opening the path upwards. USD CAD was an odd one because we had a nice IHS here, and even though the dollar has been going in the right direction, this actually failed. We set up a potential level bottom here that could deliver, but at the moment that's kind of in no man's land. Not a lot to say on Australian dollar or NZ here. Possible flags breaking down on both. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. Okay, on US dollar, we've got a bear flag, which has broken down, and I'm leaning towards. Well, we've got a bear flag that's broken down, and we've got a double bottom that's broken up. One way or the other is where we're likely to go. But in the short term, we've got a little bull flag here, which is breaking up towards a retest of this high. That could set up a double top, or this could just expand this pattern and continue higher. I'm leaning towards the higher option, as I think that looks somewhat more likely. We've got an overall bull flag suggesting at least some more upside towards the at least to the resistance in the monthly middle band area and the 50-week moving average area in about the 102.88 section. We've got a nice bull flag here. This is leaving open the possibility that we could see the retest of 114.79, even if looking at government policy that seems a little unlikely. Looking at the if looking at USD, we have a bear flag which matches the bull flag on USD, and on GBP we've got another one. We will see how those go. In terms of the short term, we've got a nice looking double top here, but unlike DAGs, this hasn't broken yet. So this is still waiting to break down. Of course, it might not. But the double bottom of USD has broken up very, very slightly. It's just the beginning. But if we can make a higher high over this and consolidate over this 100.25 level, then actually it's going to be looking pretty good to the upside. GBP USD looks most like a bull flag here, actually. USD JPY can go higher, and I'm thinking we might get up into the retest of these areas here in the 160.5 to 162 area. USD CAD, possible IHS forming. Don't really have a decent pattern here, although actually if I drew across here. Actually, I'm going to do that quickly. There is a halfway decent IHS here, actually. And it is here. Right shoulders match. Yeah, that's actually not bad. So, let's have a look at the target. All right, that's broken up with the target in the 1.43 area, so that is promising for the upside. We will see. Australian dollar, wondering about a retest of this low, but it's not really showing much sign of going there at the moment. Possible head and shoulders forming, maybe. NZUSD is getting pretty close to this low, and this would be the obvious. If we see DX break up further, the obvious target would be a retest of this low here at 54.85. All right, let's have a look at bonds. Now ZB, we're in a consolidation range at the moment, and I've got this as a triangle which really could break either way. If it breaks up, I'd be looking for a retest of this high, probably to make the second high of a double top. If it breaks down, then I'd be wondering about this possible head and shoulder neckline here, and in fact, I would be wondering if we're already forming the right shoulder for that now. So bigger picture, I'm leaning towards the downside. ZN, we are just consolidating sideways at the moment. We've got actually a very nice looking double top here, but obviously we haven't broken down below it. I've got that support in about the 112.06 area. We will see how that goes. So we will see. Bigger picture on TYX, I think this is a bull flag heading higher here, and I've got a possible inverted head and shoulders forming. On TNX, again, I've got a possible bottoming pattern here. This would be more like a double bottom, and I'm leaning towards the upside. We will see. On TLT, I don't have any divergence on anything at the moment. TLT, again, we've got a rising megaphone here, and that's got a tilt towards the downside. So this all fits an overall pattern where bonds are going down, but we will see. And we haven't really broken any trend lines, and we haven't really got any open signals. Okay, let's have a look at oil. Right, looking at CL, this looks an awful lot like a bull flag forming, and since I've drawn it, of course, it's gone up and hit this upper trend line. This really looks like a bull flag forming. Now, I don't really want to see it hit the support level. That might improve the trend line, but it would make it too large to be a bull flag. But this is, at the very least, a falling megaphone, which would have a lean to the upside. On HO, we expanded the wedge here, and this looks like an overthrow. We have a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed. At the moment, that's getting pretty close to the possible near miss target. I'm watching to see whether this larger wedge is going to break down. Bob, we have not expanded the wedge, but it does look like we're forming a bull flag here. These are kind of mixed signals. So we have options going up, options going down. Hard to say which one is more predominant here. Looking at NG, we've got possible head and shoulders forming. Ideal right shoulder high would be near the weekly pivot at 4.505, and I'm thinking after that I'm leaning pretty strongly towards the downside. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. And on WTIC, we've obviously got this overall potential level bottom. I'm still wondering if we might see a retest of the low, and I would quite like to see that because we didn't quite retest this low here at 56.06. We only got down to 56.31. Still a decent looking double bottom, but when you don't make a lower low, it leaves open the possibility that what you're actually looking at is a bear flag forming. We will see how that goes. Looking at heating oil, we've got a decent looking double bottom here, and this double bottom has now broken up. This is interesting. I have been commenting that HO has been HO and RBOB have both been considerably stronger than oil has been. So, but this is this is a IHS, which is now broken up. So let's have a look at that target. Bear with me a second. Alrighty. Okay, that. Now, this is the first of those big patterns that I was talking about that have been forming to break up. And this one's broken up with a target at approximately the 3.35 error, I think. So we will see how that goes. But this is one of 3 big patterns to the upside that we've got. And you can see it's been doing it in defiance of this nice RSI 5 sell signal here, which is actually getting pretty close to failing. If it goes up much more, it will fail. Looking at gas oil, we've got a very nice looking potential double bottom here. We haven't made nearly as much progress towards the double bottom resistance, but we have broken up over the short-term declining resistance. So thinking we might see a bit of a pullback here, but bigger picture, I'm thinking likely over the next few months, all 3 of these patterns will break up and start going considerably higher. Looking at natural gas, we had a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing. We've lost divergence on that, but the weak RSI 5 sell signal has now fixed. This should provide us at least some impetus to the downside. We will see, but obviously this has killed this off in terms of this RSI 14 divergence. All right, looking at GC, we had buy signals fixed yesterday on GC, SI, and Platinum. GC has now made the possible near miss target without actually going particularly far. SI has now made the full target, and Platinum has now made the full target. So those are now off the table without these actually having moved a great deal. We shall see. Palladium still forming a potential inverted head and shoulders here. So I'm wondering whether these are all going to break up directly towards the highs. Not so much HG, which shouldn't really be counted with the precious metals. Here I'm watching a double top and wondering if that's going to break down. But on the precious metals, I'm wondering about a retest of the high directly from here. But there is another option. I was talking about it at the weekend. And that is that we do A, B, C. Now, we're holding the daily middle band at the moment. If we lose that hard, then chances are we're going to see a lower low, and chances are we would be forming a bull flag, which would then head up and retest the high. Looking at silver, we've got a potential double top here almost, or it could be a bull flag forming. I'm leaning towards the bull flag option. We do have a weak RSI 14 sell signal that is fixed. On palladium, we are below the daily middle band, and we've been below it for a little while. but not a great deal below. And again, I'm wondering about a possible retest of the high. And actually, here we've got an IHS which may be forming and could give us a very long-standing breakup. On platinum, platinum has already broken up from a big pattern, and it is this inverted head and shoulder pattern backed up by this flag, which has broken up. Both of those have a target at a retest of this high here at 22.90. In terms of the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fix. Not been particularly enthusiastic about making targets so far. Not really thinking, not much to hang your hat on in terms of seeing more downside. But really, the question we're forming here is what kind of bull flag or bullish consolidation we're doing here. Does it require a lower low? We will see. All right, looking at copper. Copper, leaning towards the downside. We've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. Hasn't delivered a great deal so far, but we could be forming a head and shoulders here. But but it's more likely to be a double top, which is what I've got marked in. I'm liking the downside here. Not been delivering much in that direction so far. Hopefully that will speed up. Right, looking at GDX, still wondering, the obvious next target is a retest the high. Again, we could flag and deliver a lower low within the overall likely bull flag. Sooner or later, we are likely to be retesting these highs. In the short term, I don't think I've got any positive divergence. Hang on, wait a second. Nope, I don't. I don't have any positive divergence or open signals. This is leaning towards a retest of the high here on GDXJ, but it's we may well see that directly. I was thinking if we saw a large enough move on these 60-minute buy signals, then we might get an indicator we would do that first, but the move wasn't actually that big. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities. KC. We've got a double top here, which is broken down with a target at a retest of the October low. That's not really delivering much so far at the moment. We're just really trading a range. This is a little rising wedge, which is suggesting that we might come down and see if we can make it to that October low target. We will see. Sugar. Sugar has broken up for a double bottom. We were obviously watching that for a while. We've got double bottom's got a target in the 15.43 area. Not showing much enthusiasm about getting there so far, but no reason that I can currently see to think it won't make that target. Looking at CC, 6-minute buy signal fixed, nice looking little double bottom setup, might see a bit of a rally here. Looking at CT, nice looking falling megaphone here, and this is likely to break up and deliver at least a decent rally at some stage, and I think that might well be pretty soon. Lumber, we've got a nice looking falling wedge here, again 70% upside, so we're expecting to see a break up. ZW, we've got a bull flag which is broken up with a target at a retest of the early November high in about the 568 area. Not seeing any reason to think that won't make target. Corn, possible topping action, hard to really, not really seeing a pattern so far. This would be improved considerably with a retest of the high, and we may well get that. On ZS, we've got a little further break up. We've got a 6-minute sell signal fixed. Possible topping action. I think we might see more upside if the Chinese actually do buy some of that soy they've talked about, but at the moment they're still slow walking it. It might be that we'll get a considerable boost if that happens. As it happens, though, it hasn't really given any of the price increase back yet. ZL, I've got a possible double bottom, which is breaking up with a target in the 54.66 to 55.30 range. I have an alternate possible rising megaphone here, which could be a bear flag, setting up a retest of the low. Chances are we'll do one or the other. Live cattle, possible double bottom here. We've made the first of the double top targets. Possible double bottom forming here. We could see a reversal back up. And lean hogs, this is a falling wedge. Again, 70% odds this breaks higher. We've got a potential little double bottom here at the moment, and we've got a possible 6-minute buy signal brewing. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And coffee. Bigger picture, I'm leaning towards the downside here. We're obviously well out of the historical norms of where this trades, and this looks like a topping setup. Looking at the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fix. Hasn't really been showing much enthusiasm about making target, but we do have a nice looking double top which is formed here, which just needs to break down. Sugar, bigger picture, I'm concerned that we're heading down to this target here, which is basically in the 90 area. Short term, it does look as though we might see a rally. No positive divergence here on the monthly chart. On the weekly chart, no positive divergence either. But we've got halfway decent looking wedge here, possible IHS forming here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this just continues down towards the target in the 90 area. Looking at cocoa, we've got a monthly RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and we've seen quite a lot of downside. We broke big support here at 64.27. Since then, I've been leaning towards the downside, and we've gone down another 1,000 or so since then. Looking at the daily charts, no current positive divergence. We do have a possible falling wedge here that I'm watching. So with support not far below. So I'll be watching that as and when we reach that trend line. It will just fall through it. Looking at wheat, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal, which has already reached the possible near miss target. We're breaking up from a double bottom, which has got a target basically up here in the 578.25 area. This is potentially part of a larger double bottom with resistance in the 617.25 area. Looking at corn, no current divergence on the weekly chart, but you can see we've broken the wedge resistance on the big falling wedge from the 2022 high. Looking at the shorter term chart, we've got an IHS which is breaking up with a target in the 495 area, and I'm not currently seeing much to suggest that won't make target. We do have a week 6 RSI 14 sell signal fixed. That's not delivered anything so far, and it may not. We shall see. Looking at soybeans, on the weekly charts, we had a very nice looking flag here, which has broken up on the China deal, if there is a China deal. But in any case, it is certainly broken up from the flag, and I'm thinking this might go considerably higher. I am wondering about this possible IHS neckline in the 1258 area. Looking at the daily chart, we've got a possible RSI 14 and RSI 5 sell signal brewing. No sign of those fixing so far, but I do have a little rising wedge here, suggesting that we're going to see a retracement in the not too distant future. Looking at cotton, bigger picture, we've broken up from this wedge from the 2022 high. We've got a nice looking double bottom, and we've just been trading sideways for several months. At the moment, I'm wondering if that might develop into another retest of the low, which would set up a smaller double bottom. Looking at lumber, we're still on the flag, and I'm still expecting this to break down. We've still got a double top, which is broken down with a target in about the 360 area, and if we break down from this flag, then that'll have a target in about the 352.50 area. This is a nice looking setup. In the short term, no current divergence. This is the double top, first high, second high, broken down, big rally. We're not breaking down with any conviction yet. I'd like to see that break down with more. It's a nice pattern setup. I think that will make target. All right, great. In that case, let's have a quick look at crypto. Crypto. The big news yesterday was that we made the target. We had a target in the 88.3 to 90k area on the Bitcoin double top, and we made it. I'm wondering now about a possible test of this rising support trend line in the 85 area. In the short term, we don't have any positive divergence, and we don't have any hourly positive divergence on Solana, and we don't have any on Ethereum either. Looking at the dailies, daily, no positive divergence on Bitcoin. We need a rally and then a retest to set some up. Looking at the Solana chart, the head and shoulders broke down, back tested the neckline, is now halfway to the target. I'm leaning towards that making that target, but we haven't passed the point of what I would think of as no return, which is the failure of this IHS, which hadn't broke up with a target in the 282 area. That is still open, and that breaks if we see a move below 126.09, which we're pretty close to, but haven't actually broken below yet. Looking at Ethereum, we got a possible weak RSI 514 buy signal brewing, but it's not really a lot to speak of. Again, we've got a head and shoulders. Again, we back tested the neckline. And that is got a considerable way to the target. I think both of these patterns on Solana and Ethereum may well continue down to the target, especially as I'm expecting to see more downside on equities, and it may well we may well see it as while that happens on equities. Interesting, yesterday we went down on equities, but we didn't really go down on crypto. But that's not something we can count on happening on a regular basis. All right, great. In that case, that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again on Sunday.